What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 60 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Thorgrim Grudgebearer modded Thorgrim Grudgebearer Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, we got the final fight for Thorgrim underway and completed against Arkan the Black just outside the Black Pyramid. He took the place of the Sentinels who had lost their army to the onslaught of the other Tomb Kings, and that's alright as we were perfectly happy to defeat Arkan in their place with a pretty darn fantastic battle for Thorgrim and another pretty darn fantastic battle for, not for Reclaimer Barak, but for Dwinbar Ranulfson, who took heavy damage fighting several stacks belonging to Mahrak. Really enjoyed that one, and the faction is, well, I would imagine on the way out. And frankly, so is this campaign, as we've begun the invasion of Athaloran and are looking to complete / finalize the remaining great grudges, legendary grudges, of which there are 3. Anyway, let's get moving. We'll do Athaloran last because it's kind of complicated compared to other territories right now. And Belagar, you are not quite Belagard as yet, but we do want to push you on. Oh, Sandstorm attrition, eh? Alright, fine. We want you to push on to hunt down these vamps, as we'll want to knock the last of them out. Grothbark, I don't think you're going to be needed there, so just in case, we'll have you cross the mountains. Yeah. And frankly, we could probably do the same for Reclaimer Thrund Bugman. I don't think they'll be needed out there, but if they help speed the matter up, then, you know, it'll definitely be of worth. So we'll move you guys out there. Sky Goldfrowner, however, will send you somewhere where we are... Huh, we're not actually keeping any of these territories, are we? You know what? I'm gonna say... Well, travel with these guys for now. It's only for a couple of turns, most likely so. Not a big difference either way. Reclaimer Barak, I'm hoping that your units, such as they are sufficient to take Baremask here. There is no guarding... heroic victory, nobody will die, and yeah, they got good... Look, they have a lot of good constructs, but I think we know at this point that they have no chance, and in this particular army, this is the one with the gyrocopters with brimstone guns, they're anti-large, would allow us to take out the Bone Giant and the Ushabti with Great Bow, and then we just overwhelm what remains, so auto-resolve. And goodbye. Again, we've already had so many good fights against the Tomb Kings, and those massive constructs are not nearly as threatening as they might look, at least not to us, and at least not at this point in the game, and at least not in a 1 versus 1 sort of situation. They're going to need a lot more armies than that to bring us to heel, as it were. Do you want to get any of the points supplied? We already have, we have a little bit of everything. Axelor, Tradition, Innovation, Grimnir's Heirs. You don't have Tactician, which we could do. Yeah, maybe we'll do Tactician, probably could use a couple more artillery pieces or even... I mean, we're not doing Fire and Fury in this army, so yeah, go for Tactician. We'll also do Blade Shield and Blade Master. You have Obstinacy, which was the critical one. Let's get you Deadly Onslaught. We have 4 points remaining, and I guess Speed is great. But the rest of your army isn't all that much faster, I imagine. Let's see, 36, 36. Oh, you're actually slightly slower than your troops. Alright, fine. And go for the Relentless then. Gotta at least keep pace with the troops. Alright, and then the rest of these guys we might evolve, but it might also not be needed. Mr. Dwinbar Ranulfson, you're gonna take the Tomb of Far's legions. And we'll send somebody else down here, I guess. And this should be auto-resolvable, though slightly damaged you may be after that last episode fight. It shouldn't be of any concern. And occupy. Like so, don't bother collecting income and then go for whatever and then build whatever, as we'll be trading it rather soon. Reclaimer Granite Hand, take the Monument of Regretful Sorrows, interesting name for a territory. You can take Bani al-Hashim Oasis. And oh, there is a full stack here. Didn't count on that. Well, let's see what we got here. Pyrrhic Victory and half our army will die. Alright, we'll just bring the other one in to reinforce. No need against this. Oh, they do have a couple of Caskets of Souls, though. Either way, I'll think about that one. Let's send you to Bani al-Hashim Oasis, and I'll resolve this for obvious reasons. You've already defeated, what? I want to say something like 8 stacks of Tomb Kings? Pretty darn good. And all close to at the same time. And I assume that you'll be able to reach Libaris Road. You could also move back to the Quarry of Bone and take the Devil's Backbone, which is, well, somewhere we want to actually continue. Alright, Reclaimer Musterer. I think we'll send you to the Quarry of Bones. So what we'll do is this. We'll send you here to reinforce like so. We will have you auto-resolve this because now with his army, they have absolutely no hope and no chance. Occupy. I'm more concerned about Albion at this point because we still have to knock out and take Nagranath, as it'll be a little bit before we get there. You guys are then fine. You can move down Devil's Backbone, which means Stochel is free to move to the Barras Road, which means Reclaimer. I guess I'll want you to take Cape Carpentharia, so fine. Go here. Nobody there. Oh, you know what? I should have probably... Yeah, whatever. You'll be fine. I was gonna say you're not gonna heal up like this, but the garrisons of the Tomb Kings are pretty mess, so it shouldn't be a concern, I'd wager. Alright, what we could also do is... where would be the best place to do it? If we move... Oh, okay, no, we can't move you out. We could, I guess, do it to Chandar. I'm just thinking of building a quick other extra lord. For example, you, Rearguard, is level 50. Let's take you. And then we have the massive amount of global recruitment, which means we can immediately build basically whatever we want for our Reclaimer armies. I'm just gonna have to name you Reclaimer so that I remember to do so. 1 Thunderbird so that you can siege, and then let's do, I don't know, a couple of gyrocopters, brimstone guns for that anti-large, and I didn't do any artillery. What did I do for this guy? I wanted to echo it. Oh. I went for artillery rather than... Alright, you know what, that's fine. Let's do the same thing. Just so that I don't get confused between the two, and then you can be a Reclaimer half-hand instead. And then if we should actually run into a fight, then we'll just get you your... your levels set up. Alright, that looks good down here. We are still going to move Reclaimer Barra's Keeper down there. I don't know whether you're needed. And frankly, whether you'll reach down there by the time everything is gone, but who knows, we'll find out. As Joseph of Zorn, I would like you to jump on... We're waiting for the other guy to stop moving. There we go, up here. Forwards. Get ready to attack them. And Ulfar Norgrimling, I would like you to get into whatever this place is called. Kolgulzar. And then sit there and wait, because we'll see if these guys react to this or try to escape. Oh, wow, they're building a lot of Death Shriekers. Huh, interesting. Interesting idea. Not gonna help them, but interesting idea. Jamak Doomtamer, frankly, I don't think you'll be needed here, but we might want to park an army on each one of the oil rigs. And, okay, these ogres are still just refusing to come here and grab Bogler country, which is a little bit unfortunate. Again, I really don't care about Skeleton Delta, so we might just delete it, or maybe just recruit it and then just keep it fortified. Not a big deal either way. Alright, you guys have moved. Billigar is chasing down the enemy troops, so let us see what's going on up in the, well, not quite north yet. You guys moving in. The likelihood of Sloppy Crookshank attacking you. It exists. As to whether he actually tries, it remains to be seen. You know what, you can try to avoid him like this so as that you don't die. Fairy Hergar Ironwill, you can move into Noppet, I guess, and just sort of sit there as soon as they're sort of done moving. Alright, and we shouldn't have to move you again. Karaz Grimhammer, I might do the same thing for you because you're kind of far away from the other territories. Warvor, Drakebeard, okay, all of you guys, I would like you to move to Scabberreach. Okay, you're waiting to move. Alright, fine, fine, fine. You're gonna move, wait. You're gonna move first. Alright, you don't have to move again. You don't have to move again. The only situation if they move is if the coastline gets threatened, but I'm hoping that the massive invasion of Southern Realmers to the Maelstrom will see them take it out without us needing to intervene, or at least I hope so. Anyway, let's go on up here. So you guys are fine, and you're kind of just going to sit there until we trade this stuff to Ashiotla, so just sort of sit around. Frankly, we're probably better off putting you in the sea rather than having you stay here, or we'll just march back to our own mountains once this is gone to Oshiotla. Distinct possibility of that as well. Oh, this follower, you are no longer needed, sir. Let's reduce the admin by taking you out. Like so. Lovely, and I think we'll put this Reclaimer Hammerfist right here in the Monolith of Erla. Oh, I meant to jump, but whatever. And then we'll need another guy at Earstead, just because those are sort of the paths into the mountains. So we'll take maybe Reclaimer Silverhorn. Oh, you actually have Slayers. You know what, I kind of like the... Since we did a Slayer expedition up to Albion, we'll send you there. Reclaimer Get Gold. You have to stay at Chinhild's Monoliths until we've completed the quest. Let's keep Old as Hellhind here because he's an actual army. Let's have Reclaimer Grimtideson, or you can move further, so let's take you. Reclaimer Stronghold, you're going to move to Earstead, and then you, like Reclaimer Hammerfist, will become... they're still kind of Coast Guards, so Coast Guard Hammerfist, so you will never have to move again, and then the same thing with the other guy as soon as he moves into place. Alrighty. Ungrim, Thugni, etc. rather. Wait, where is Ungrim? Oh. I would like you to land somewhere where you don't suffer attrition, like so. And Hagenbor Ironpick and Joseph Bugman. Oh, I have an idea. Can either one of you, or can any one of you, march stance here to Lost Ericsson? Okay, why won't it show how far you can move? Oh, okay, you can. Alright, so what we'll do is this. Bugman to Lost Ericsson's Landing. And then we will move you to reinforce... Okay, not you, but, yeah, Reclaimer Helldower to reinforce. In a second. Like so. Alright, well, I'm going to still move them to reinforce because I want them to suffer a minimal amount of damage here because they'll, you know, have to help out with all of this. Okay, you know what, no, I'll have the army land first, it's more critical. I assume you can't land... Okay, now you can get close, but you can't land, but you can. Like so. And Thugni, you're gonna go here. And then Reclaimer, whatever, Gundrickson, you're gonna go here. Ungrim, you can reach a lonely Ogben and then maybe head up northward towards Drifting Castle, where you will likely end your campaign, though we might send you to Nagranath. I haven't decided whether I want to use the Bretonnians or not for that particular purpose. Anyway, you are going to auto-resolve this now, with much less damage than previously, with the help of the Hammerers, at least from the auto-resolve. Not like the enemy has been doing particularly well against Bugman's army in actual battles. Hagenbor Ironpick, I do want you to still fight, but you're gonna have to take Citadel of Lead first, and Follower Skolson... you know, just stay here for now. Alright, we still have to grab Beast Peaks because we want to claim that territory. You cannot resolve this, and... Ooh, okay, no damage. I was wondering if we were sufficiently damaged that Harganath would come for us. And who knows? They might still attempt it. I wish them luck. I wish them all the luck in the world. Go for Hagenbor if you like. Alrighty, and the rest of you are good, minus Thingrim, who is going to, I guess, go... I don't know. Go this way. Go with everybody. You can land at this territory. And why are you guys suffering attrition? Oh, this is... Why are you guys suffering attrition? Oh, it's Chaos territory. Huh. We are minus 58, so in theory, next turn, there shouldn't be enough corruption to actually cause you attrition, so you'll be fine. Alright, so these guys are good. Now we just gotta check out what's going on in the north, and we'll be ready to end the turn. You guys, Grimly and Elmador. I would like you to besiege the Steppes of Khorne, since Skulltaker is gone. A little bit sad that his army was kind of pathetic, but what can you do? Can't expect everybody to have a good army. And we're very choosy at the end of the campaign about what armies we fight. Almador, take the Steppes of Khorne. Probably going to damage Grimly's army a little bit, but not all that much. Alright, and this thing we will trade to our allies probably next turn or so. Just want to heal up, and we'll maybe want to... We can't colonize Bastion Stair, right? Uninhabitable, all construction and recruitment times are increased, and income replenishment and growth are reduced severely. Oh, we actually can capture it. Interesting. Might be better to raise it, though, just to keep these guys a little bit safer, because they're idiots. Let's face it. You are going to go to the Blood Rift. Like so, Mr. Malachi. Are you damaged still? Only slightly. And then that's the last territory of Tamarkan. Maybe raise this and allow Boris and the western provinces to keep the territories hopefully safe. I don't know if we'll keep those guys there or move them back towards Dumak, Carrick Doom, rather. And in fact, a Jargard Burdrick, I would like you to actually move up there. You can be a Jargard and then sit here in case anybody comes, but it's unlikely. Let's face it, they have to go through a lot of territory to get to us, which is kind of the point of keeping the manlings and stuff around. They will serve that purpose. What do we have out here? So Thorgrim the Thronger, you're going to grab Clawreach, Alaric Ranulfson, and Reclaimer Grimson. Are you guys able to reach the Veil of Nightmares? I think you are. Alright, how to resolve this? Hey! Alright, basically no enemies there. I try to find an army for these guys to fight just because it amuses me, but no guarantees yet again. Alright, you're gonna go right there. And, oh, what do we have here? Skolden the Wolf of Dervan card. Huh. Alright, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna besiege this place. I have an idea. I'm hoping that by besieging, what will happen is that they won't attack us, that they'll be too scared. And if they are in fact too scared, we won't fight them. We'll stay here and keep this so that we can send Thorgrim the Thronger and his ridiculous little army full of heroes at them. I would really like that to happen. In fact, I kind of regret moving there at all now, but whatever. You go to Tamok's camp and occupy it. Nobody there, apparently. And collect income, and then do this. Alright, and then Grumby. I guess I assume that these guys can take Sunken Sewers, so we'll push you on towards Monolith of Charson, and then move onwards to the other places. Like so. Alright, and the Chaos up north are nearly destroyed, and soon none of these guys will have to move again anymore either. And frankly, we should trade the rest of this all to Boris. And Boris should be real happy. Well, to some degree, maybe. Admittedly, we have given him a lot of Chaos territory, but he seems to not mind. It does have I guess it's a yellow territory for him, but obviously the Kislevites can counteract that with their faith, so looks pretty good. Alright, the rest of you are good where you are, you guys are good where you are. Let's see what's going on in Athel Loren for the last of the... Oh, moves, right. We got you two there. Now, Finnar Candraskelson, I was originally planning to send you after Daith, but if you take sufficient damage fighting him, these guys attacking you might be a little bit iffy. On the other hand... Actually, I want to see, is this just the one army here or multiple armies? Looks like just the one army, eh? Admittedly, it is a lot of range units. However, what we're going to do is this. We're going to besiege it. And we're going to level up, and we're going to give these guys a chance to attack us with 3 armies versus this. It would be very dangerous. And I don't know if Finnar Candraskelson's army can win, because it's not the good kind of composition to fight droves of wood elves in that manner. But I am very invested to see them try, so we're gonna. Locked and loaded for you. I guess you have everything that's needed here. Oh, you know what actually you can do? What would help you? We can grab Miner's Instinct to intercept the World Roots jerks. We can grab Purebeard. I'll go for Purebeard. The main thing I want is Lightning Strike. Not to use the actual Lightning Strike, but to... The arrival. Reinforcements boarding this army can have their arrival penalty adjusted by 1,000 meters. Oh, no, not that. Although that is good. These armies are fighting on their own. Enemy battle reinforcement time plus whatever. That's what I wanted. The rest of this I don't really care about. Anyway, you got a couple points remaining, and I guess we get Master Armor for the fire resistance, and then out of these, probably the ammunition and speed. Woundmaker is fine, but we don't really use these guys in melee a lot, even though it still does amuse me greatly to see them bonk people with their, with those big old guns of theirs. Anyway, you can have a Rune of Resistance, Rune of Sanctuary, into Rune of Spellbreaking, Old-Fashioned Tinkering, and Rune of Fate. Definitely want to max out Rune of Oath and Steel, get at least 2 points in Rune of Slowness. We already have Hardened Armor. Can grab the Rune of Grimnir because it's good. And we want to max out Rune of Negation because it's also good, and another 2nd point in Rune of Breaking. Otherwise, out of all these, it's either Relentless, and I'm going to say repositioning faster might be more valuable than the slight cooldown on the Rune of Breaking and Wrath and Ruin, because other runes are more critical, so I'm going to say Relentless. Although an extra 7 speed versus 10% vigor loss, yeah, you're rarely going to lose vigor because you're rarely directly in the fight in that manner, so you're fine, is what I'm getting at. Hard to hit and Deadly Blade. And Unfaltering, Foe Seeker, Resolute, Scarred Vet, Blade Shield, Indomitable, and Woundmaker, and we have 1 point remaining, which we can pop into Ancestral Grudge. Lovely. Alright, Engineers. Do you guys have your items? You look like you do. Gatekeeper's Helm. You have a Helm of Discord and an Obsidian Blade. You could probably use... As I don't all have items. Keep the Obsidian Blade. I guess what we can do is... Oh, you have Thungni's Bloodline, so you have Banish. Nonetheless, I think this army is one that could benefit a fair bit from additional Gatekeeper's Hammer, so you're going to have the Gatekeeper's Hammer and the Talisman of Preservation, and you can... I actually don't think that the other Trickster Shard is all that useful here. Or to us, generally speaking, really at all. You can trade the Obsidian Blade, I think, for another Gatekeeper's Hammer. It's just better. And an Iron Warden's Tankard for obvious reasons to heal you up. Where are we? Oh, Iron Warden's Tankard. Do we have any spares? I don't know, I have to make one. Nope, we have one spare. Beautiful. Alright. And then these guys are good. Let's level them up and they'll be gooder. So we have Cannon Mastery and Organ Gun Mastery. We'll go for Hand-Loaded. I doubt that it's necessary, but we can grab Emergency Stockpiles and Apprentice Marksman, Relentless, Overseer, Ancestral Grudge, and Resolute for the extremely rare, basically non-existent times that they're in melee, and then you can get a couple points in Architect, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The rest of that looks fine. And then you're 1 point short of being maxed out, meaning we'll have to level you again. Alright. Increased mobility. Frankly, they've been getting by with without increased mobility for a long time, which is kind of impressive in and of itself. Like so, Sapper Triangulation, hand-loaded for your personal damage, then the 1 point in Architect. Oh, I should have gone for the Laboratory, not Architect. And yet I don't care to redo it, so it'll make no difference anyway. Alright, there you go. You're ready now? Okay, now you can't switch. I'm hoping that Daith does not sally out because he's too scared, but these guys move in to reinforce so that we don't have to hunt them down. Though, just in case we do... Can we move you? No, you're kind of in a good position. Hopefully they don't go here, which they could very well. Kazad Frukand. We don't have another army here, do we? You know what? Level 30 Vengeful. Let's do you, unless we have another high-level guy. No, not really. Alright, fine. Level 30 Vengeful. Put you here, just in case. Do we have any spare global recruitment? We do. The 1 point... Out of all of these guys... Too bad we can't do flame cannons for 1 turn. That would be the best use of this. But I guess it's Iron Breakers then. Just for defense. Alright. Good enough. And then local recruitment, giant pile of miners. Alright. In the manner of Brock Iron Pick in the past. Alright, so you guys are good. Let's see what's going on out here. So King Azrael, you've taken out Crag Halls of Findal. Orion is moving in, though his army is admittedly kind of meh. We do have to deal with Azerit, but a single army isn't really worth our time, so I guess what we'll do is we'll send... Wait, can Woodguard Holdfast reach you? Yes. Though for how long remains to be seen. These guys kind of have to stay here. You're gonna run, even from a Woodguard. And I'm assuming you can no longer reach him? You cannot. Alright, can you ambush stance? Yes. Stay here. Ambush. Huh, wait, we're at 80% here? Alright, fine, let's stay there then. Woodguard Cragbrow. Kill this. I guess what we can do is we can leave you in the Crag Halls of Findal then. To defend it while Azrael continues on. It's not like we're super intent on having the Woodguards do their thing, although this one does have a lot of flame units, which are always entertaining to watch. Oh, I wonder if Hegria of the Mask can run. Guess we're about to find out. Yes. They can run. And it was Trixie, because we would suffer attrition if we couldn't encamp. Alright, so you encamp there. We'll see if Hegria wants to attack you. Ooh, actually, the fire units would be in danger in the woods. And these guys might move in via world routes to reinforce. Huh. Well, if they do, they do. You guys can no longer move. I would like King Azrael to kill the rest of this. Hopefully it doesn't damage our... Frostworms. Don't do it, game. Don't do it. Okay, we're okay. Alright, now Orion, will you stay or will you go? He will stay. He won't run. Huh. I gotta say I'm surprised, but because he stayed, we're not going to auto-resolve. We're going to take him out personally. Plus I want to see Orion versus Azrael in action. Go. All right, here we go. Obviously, a single Wood Elf army stands no chance against Azrael, especially as we've attacked 3-stack in their own settlement and still triumphed, and that without obliterating everybody with our flame cannons. But again, since Orion decided to stand and fight instead of running like a coward, we're going to give him a battle and slay him personally. Anyway, the battle will start off as we deploy over on the right flank and allow the enemy to move towards us. His wild riders may attempt to rush us, but they're going to have to run the gauntlet of our 3 flame cannons. No iron drakes in this particular army, but 3 flame cannons alone is still a devastatingly dangerous proposition, especially since wild riders are themselves devastatingly dangerous units on the charge, but they're also incredibly fragile, though 35% ward save on them. I do remember massively being able to stack the ward save on various Wood Elf units when I last did the Wood Elves, when I last did Orion, which was pretty fun. Anyway. We also do, thanks to our Destruction of Skavenblight, have the ability to suddenly summon miners with blasting charges. Flame cannons to the front of them, miners with blasting charges behind them. These poor 3 units of range are going to have a particularly bad day. It does look like the Wild Riders still attempt to make their way through the glades, but will be caught by the Hammerers, which were waiting in the forest for them to charge. And 35 ward save or no, they're still going to probably have a very bad time attempting to... Well, there we go. They're melting. And they're done. Oh, damn. Those Wild Riders get absolutely torn to shreds. Otherwise, King Azrael is moving in. He does want to go after Orion himself, but he'll have to cut down a few of those Wild Riders, Dryads, and Glade Guard, or Eternal Guard, rather, on his way. Mostly because they're blocking him. As for the range units, since they would simply attempt to kite us and run away, we're just going to burninate them with our flame cannons. They're not going to outshoot them, and that's for sure. And should we need to, we do have our frostworms ready to chase them down. And they do move pretty quick after all, and even more summoned miners as well. There we go. Looks like most of the enemy have melted away at this point. The Hammerers have a few more to work through, while Azrael himself leaves his Valor Guard to clean up while he heads directly for Orion. And the rest of Orion's army is pretty much done for at this point. We're not going to... Oh, wow, Orion's on fire, getting the occasional blasting charge thrown at him. But it looks like that's not really doing any damage. But the animation or the effect is neat. And damn, I always forget how big Orion is. He's a big old beast, man. To us, I suppose there isn't too much of a difference in this case. He is also unbreakable, so we're going to have to work our way through him. And 20% ward save, 8% physical, though we do have magical damage on Azrael. 181 armor, 113, 119 attack and defense, and Deadly Onslaught up and running, nearly 900 attack. Pretty solid. With his own stats being pretty decent, despite, I should say, his own stats being pretty decent, I just really don't see Orion breaking through Azrael's massive 119 melee defense. And we got that armor destruction as well, so minus 30 armor when Azrael delivers his blows. Orion's down to about half HP. His army has long shattered. He's the only unbreakable unit, and, well, it is just a few canned animations being repeated against each other. It is still a legendary lord, the King in the Woods, and he does have to be brought down. Alrighty, we've got about half of his HP to work through, and I think we've seen enough of the animations. Let them whack away at each other for a little while longer. We'll speed it up, and a couple more blows, 1 or 2 more. And then there was 1. And down goes Orion. Looks like he took a big hit to the knee and falls, while Azrael remains at full HP. Ouch. All right, there we go. So falls the King in the Woods, and without too much trouble at that, 13 losses, a little enough damage to King Azrael, by which I mean 0, as he defeated Orion with great ease. And the rest of Orion's army will run, but still, respect for not immediately running away. That's a fairly considerable buff to us for forest battles, I guess. I don't really care about the leadership, though. If only it was like +2 melee attack for all armies faction-wide during forest battles, like kind of like echoing Archaon's thing for Forces of Chaos, and that would be better. Hey, and wouldn't you know it, we'd come upon the Oak of Ages itself. The main issue being, how many armies would be able to punish us for the attack on it? What do we have in terms of... Oh, right, the Oak of Ages has a garbage garrison. That's always been the case, but I guess considering how many Wood Elves you have to go through to get to it, it kind of makes sense, but yeah, so falls the Oak. And it is part of our... Oh, the landmark has to be unlocked. Well, that's rude. Here we can go for Venerate the Ancestors for the chance of plagues, or the casualty or punishment rate bonus. Anyway, here, technically Kingsglade is the only place that stands against us. It does have some decent defenders, but these are mostly just Wood Guards, and I don't know why I never... Okay, you're also Wood Guard. Alright, I guess we could attack this together. I guess the question is, would it be worth our time and effort? Kind of interesting that these three decided not to join the war. They declined, I guess? Or were they never allied with Durthu? Yeah, maybe they never were allied with Durthu. Oh, they have no diplomatic contact with them, or at least some of them don't. That's kind of interesting. Anyway. To be honest, I'm not the most fond of the Wood Elf Defender territories. It doesn't work very well for the Wood Elves, if you know what I mean. Like, in the sense that they're kind of bad at it. It kind of is bizarre, but it makes them weaker, it feels, when they're actually fighting in their own territories. I think maybe we'll try this. You're gonna go besiege Kingsglade. Like so. And a heroic victory by himself. You see what I mean? Now they just get obliterated in there. What I wanted to try to do is, if we send Woodguard Damon, would you be able to force this one army into a fight? You're a low level and you have Slayers, which would be the most vulnerable to the enemy fire. Let's all, however, level them up. Venerate Grimnir for obvious reasons. And we'll buff you up. Death Wish, obviously. Don't really care about Demon's Bane or Demons Be Damned. We do want Inspiring Presence, and we want... Grimnir's Heirs, and I believe Tactician for the Goblin Hewers. Alright, and then we'll go Rally. I don't think anybody here is high enough level to get any advantages, so we'll go for Honored by Grimnir and then just straight up into Stand Your Ground. Alright, and then you have no heroes either, which was the thing that might potentially make this kind of interesting. So see if these guys are willing to fight you one-on-one. Hopefully this army isn't close enough to reinforce. Alright, beautiful. Alright, this I think will be a little bit more interesting than, you know, just burning everybody without having them the ability to fight back with our other armies. We'll fight this one, and we'll just auto-resolve the remnants of Kingsglade. Fight.
No leader am I, just a killer. Stay behind me and watch me at work.
Alrighty, here we go. Just gonna use this Woodguard army for a little fun. It is technically our weakest Woodguard army, especially as the Slayer Pirates here, while obviously, again, while I love the unit, and they're strong and they're versatile, they are also here not buffed up by engineers, which would have given them a lot of additional ammunition, speed, and damage. They do have a Lord buffing them up, a Slayer Lord, but they're still considerably weaker than they would be in an army that isn't a guard army, and thus has items and heroes to buff it up. Anyway, we are getting into position. Gonna take a few hits from one of the enemy, Glade Guard here, but it shouldn't be all that much. Glade Guard have relatively low missile strength without significant investment into buffing them, and oh wow, 51 melee attack on them, damn. Huh. That's kind of interesting. We have 52 melee defense, so it's kind of the inverse in that particular regard. I'm actually quite impressed that this is the basic tier 1 Wood Elf range unit, and it has 51 melee attack. Huh, good for them. Good for them indeed. But again, we are at the late game. The enemy has their technologies and they have their buffs, so their units will be on par with ours, even their basic units, to some degree. Though, of course, they can't use them to as good effectiveness. Anyway, starting to rush them now. Gotta remember, we also have 58 missile resistance and 25 physical, so regardless of the lack of armor, it's going to take a lot of arrows to start hurting our Slayer Pirates. They'll run the gauntlet, we'll lose a couple, but they will keep running towards the enemy and firing their guns. Bringing the first few Wood Elves down and charging towards their lines. And of course they're taking hits, but it's also allowing the units of Giant Slayers to approach. There we go. Smashing into the enemies now, not losing any units directly because we activate Glorious Death. We can see where they smash into the melee line. These guys rapidly lose about 50% of their HP. So yeah, gotta be careful with charging Slayer Pirates into melee like this. I imagine they also don't have, they only have 16,000 HP max. Well, actually that's fairly decent. Not to the same degree as like a hammer unit or anything like that, especially considering the lower numbers, but yeah, we can see, ooh, wow, this unit of Slayer Pirates has dropped to about 25% of HP, this one as well, and all the ones that led the charge are damaged, but the Goblin Hewers are now here and unharmed, and all the Giant Slayers are here and unharmed. And I just wanted to make sure that the Slayer Pirates got to charge first. It would have been perhaps more effective in the sense of taking less damage to just charge in this the Giant Slayers, since they have less models in their units, and they would have taken a lot less damage most likely. But it's all good. All in the name of fun here. It's just the Wood Guard army, and we don't care about its damage or its casualties. Axes flying in from the Goblin Hewers, more Slayers charging in, and it looks like, at least on the right flank, the enemy's line is broken. There are still a few range units running around, or running away, I should say, from us. And we're going to have to just hunt them down. There is an enemy Tree Singer here as well. Spellweaver, rather. And we should probably hunt down... Ooh, although there is also an enemy Waystalker rather, here. And we'll turn we'll turn the units of Goblin Hewers to killing the Waystalker, who disappears under Hail of Axes. There we go, just in a pile of smoke. And with that, the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. Oh, lovely. And decent little fight. We've got damage on the leading piles of Slayer Pirates and had to withdraw a few of them in order to make sure that they survive. They should also, however, heal up, and due to the fact that damage loss, or, HP damage isn't necessarily the same as unit losses. Alright, there we go. At least our frontline Slayers got heavily damaged by rushing into the enemy arrows and claws, brambles, whatever the Dryads were using against them. The Giant Slayers were also thus protected and thus did not suffer too much damage. And either way, we can heal them all up. And this army is dead and Kingsglade will fall. Huh. You're going to... did you really move towards Azrael? Well, I mean, we can't chase you down, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, Woodguard, Thunderstone. Do we have something that increases our chance to intercept? Just in case more of these armies start moving around? I guess, well, this is the important one. We'll move you here, enemy killed in battle, and then we'll just auto-resolve this. Decisive victory, low casualties. Oh, the third army is also going to reinforce. And yeah, I know that they have some decent stuff in there, but let's face it. They wouldn't even be able to approach us in melee, much less do anything here. Alright, the only time that I'm willing to, at this point, fight with Woodguard as opposed to, themed armies, would be if it looks like an interesting battle, and that much was not the case here. We will, however, build some stuff up. I don't know how many turns are left in the campaign, but, we can also build deeps here, I guess. Go for it, why not? Why not? Dig into the world roots beneath Athaloran while we're at it. Anyway, I think that's it for this turn, yes? Looks like an end turn to me. You guys don't need to move. Oh, you guys actually need to move. Okay, wait, what's the best way to do this? You, Woodguard Ulek, are going to proceed here towards the halls of Anareth. Like so. We will have a Woodguard, Granite Hand, and the really mean army here go after Iskura. In fact, wait, we want you, Griswold True Eye, to join this army. And I assume I never gave you items? Ah, okay, so we do need to give him the Prospector's Mail because this army is all about being completely hidden from enemy sight. I would at least try to, or like to get them one field battle where... okay, Prospector's Spyglass. Old Guard's Tankard. Talisman, wait, not Talisman, Gatekeeper's Hammer. And basic armor was the green armor that I forgot what was called. Something Prospector's Mail. Wait, did I just see it? I saw, no, it's Prospector's Spyglass. Oh, I really wish it was easier to find. But it isn't. Anyway, there we go. Now I just wanted to make sure that he had items, and at the very least, you want to get ballistics calibration. We will probably level up you if we get a proper fight here. Ooh, actually, we do want Sapper. This army is kind of reliant on it, like so. And then I guess, yeah, okay, fine. You can have We Are the Elite, and you can have Flame Cannon Mastery. And I assume you have Sapper maxed out. Indeed you do. And we have We Are the Elite maxed out, so frankly you already have all the important stuff. Just grab Overseer, and I guess you could start increasing mobility. Alright, both of you have stock and snipe either way. You mostly want one thing, and it is Vias. Okay, sharpened weapons. Renowned, and We Are the Elite. I forgot about those. And then the Thane, while we're here. Unfaltering, you have Indomitable. Let's get to you, I guess, Woundmaker to hit a little bit harder. Probably could have gone for Relentless. The Thane is hidden too, so he can't make use of Snipe, but he can certainly make use of Stalk and Strider. Otherwise, I think you need to level a bit, anybody. Alright, a Miner's Instinct for the Interception. Frankly, I should have gotten this for everybody here, just because if they try to run via the world routes, and we'll get you a Lightning Strike so that reinforcements are slow onto the battlefield. Oh! Screwed that up, should have doubled up on Rune of Grimnir. Especially with the range. Alright, fine. Rune of Grimnir is just necessary. Alright, so we'll do this again. Miner's Instinct, Pure Beard, Strong-Willed, Iron-Willed, Lightning Strike, and then into 1 point in Seasoned Marksman. Your damage is kind of not super relevant anyway. Alright, go after Iskura. We'll run, and then we'll proceed towards the Waterfall Palace with you. And I guess we can move Woodguard Granite Hand here to Tallest. Gotta resolve. This better not damage anybody because game would be silly. And oh, you're gonna start suffering attrition. Hopefully that wasn't the edge of your range. Oh, you can actually reach Waterfall Palace. Okay, that's nice. Are these guys able to reach Waterfall Palace as well? They are, huh? Alright, you're gonna besiege this. You're gonna besiege this because, as we saw, the enemy has no chance whatsoever in the settlement against this particular army, but outside the settlement, that may be a different story. What I would like you to do, then, is jump out here, maybe interfere with these guys. Like so. In case these guys try to move to attack Reclaimer's Stout Peak. Alright, everybody is positioned for hopefully the fall of Athaloran. We've got several besiegements, not a word, going, but yeah, we'll see which ones the enemies actually attempt to take advantage of. Let's end the turn and find out. Commandment available. Empower the guilds. Outpost upgrade, no. And we did everything here. I'm just going to assume that we did go. Alrighty, Arguelon will sally out at the Waterfall Palace, and Reclaimer's Stout Pig, who probably should have had a name rather than be a Reclaimer, will get to fight on field with those Bugman's Rangers and the Stalking Army, and against some pretty good troops. So I'm interested to see how much better or worse we fare. Well, okay, it's basically impossible to fare better, because we took a settlement with 0 losses and 0 damage, but how much worse we'll fare on the battlefield. Go. Alrighty, here we go, the stalking army, though unfortunately by the looks of it they won't be stalking for all that long. Now, basically, since we're the defenders and not the attackers in this situation, we couldn't see where the enemy was, meaning we deployed guessing where they might be. And it looks like they deployed in a massive line along the entire battlefield, which means a bunch of them are actually close enough to our battle line to immediately be able to see us. So I guess we just have a straight up regular fight with this particular army, though there is the advantage that we still have of our units being able to run away and go into stalk should they suffer sufficient damage, which I fully expect the throwing axe rangers to start taking. Our hidden artillery piece, however, is still hidden and firing away together with our lord, who is stalking and sniping, and similarly stalk and snipe on our units of gyrocopters. And it will still take the enemy a fairly decent bit of time to consolidate its forces since we are deployed on their right flank, with the idea of obliterating said flank and allowing at least some of our units to be hidden. Still, on the field now in a nice little shootout rather than obliterating the enemy with this particular army in that settlement. As we saw, that battle was far too easy and we took 0 damage and 0 losses here. Definitely not the case. The Rangers with great weapons are taking the hits for the rest of the army, the Bugman's Rangers, though funnily enough, the Bugmans, due to their heals and the fact that they're shielded and more heavily armored, probably would have taken the hits a little bit better. I was a little bit more counting on the Bugman, or not the Bugmans, the Throwing Axe Rangers being here and acting to attack enemies once they drew close, but because we started in a position where the enemy was close enough to see us, it didn't quite work out that way. And in retrospect, maybe I should have backed them off rather than taking damage like this, but they were having fun throwing those axes around, and they're still doing pretty well. Ooh, and does look like a unit of Blade Singers has closed the distance on the left flank together with some Wild Riders. But the axes still fly, and even with the massive resistances, and oh, 2 Blade Singers with a single blow from the Thane, and the last one will fall as the Thane cheers to the throwing axes. The bounce power has shifted to about, let's say, 70% in our favor, and does look like the enemy might just draw, yep, there we go, close enough to the flame cannons to at last uncover them. So they are visible, but it looks like the enemy is still targeting the more fragile throwing axes rather than the artillery piece. Actually, just out of curiosity, with the rune and with the buffs, 73% missile resistance on those flame cannons, so pretty solid. Their HP is low, but that's still pretty darn solid, and 464 kills on them so far. The battle is actually nearly ours. We are winning just the straight-up regular shootout. Bows versus crossbows. There's a reason that Malekith and the Dark Elves found the Dwarfen crossbow superior to the Elven bow and decided to use crossbows, and we can see it here. Alright, just a few more volleys and I expect the last of the enemies will melt away. Definitely the biggest portion of the damage on our Rangers with great weapons. At this point, they're just going to back out where the enemy can no longer shoot to them. The Bugmans are more or less fine. 53 missile resistance, silver shield, 93 armor, and of course a liquid fortification giving them regeneration. But we had to have some different units in the army for a little bit of flavor, even though I fear that the Throwing Axe Rangers have to be too close since they don't have Unspottable. They do have Stalk and Snipe, but they don't have Unspottable, meaning that they would be spotted as soon as they started to throw their axes because their range is too short. Not so the Bugmans. Anyway, there we go. There we go. While we took damage on those guys, the rest of the enemy army will melt away and the battle will be ours. Fun little couple of fights from the all-stalking army. Still feels a little bit obnoxious even when we do allow the enemy to do some damage. And if we hadn't been, or if we had been able to see the deployment, it probably would have been closer to no damage still. All right, there we go. I did gamble and lose a little bit on the deployment, but without being able to see where the enemy is deployed due to them being the attackers rather than the defenders, it's just a gamble. Still, it did pretty darn well. The rangers with great weapons functioned fairly nicely in terms of acting as our melee, and on top of that, actually outdamaged by a fairly decent margin most of the Bugman's rangers, despite lacking the, range. Of course, nobody would be able to keep up with the flame cannons, and that Master Rune of Disguise once again is working really well, especially considering the short-range nature, or relatively short-range nature, of the flame cannons. Them being able to fire at the wood elves without being, fired back upon is really, really good. Heal. Alrighty, and it looks like, Daith will attempt to attack Finn Arkandraskelson by himself. Alright, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm willing to give him the opportunity to try it as Daith. After all, he's essentially a god or an avatar, depending on how you look at things. And, he is only level 13. It's all good. Anyway, we should fight this anyway because I think that, the guns aren't really for the type of unit that is facing off against us. No armor on them either, so all that armor-piercing, rock, paper, scissorsing is a little bit wasted. Go. Alright, here we go. Finn Arkandraskelson and his gunnery army. Definitely one of the sort of longest and furthest traveling armies that we have in this particular campaign, and maybe not as far as Thorgrim has traveled, but Finn Arkandraskelson started his campaign fighting Katep and the Exiles of Nehek, so he's moved his way through the Badlands and then all the way to the west, and then back towards Athaloran. And I am interested to see the Thunderers and the Cannons and Organ Guns face off against the Wood Elves. And we'll see how well in a second. Now, we are going to start the battle off with our cannons focusing down the enemy Treemen and Treekin all the way at the back of the line. Fortunately for us, cannons have an insane range, and we should have no trouble sniping these enemies. The rest of the enemy army, a massive pile of Glade Guard, are on the approach. But soon our units of Thunderers will begin firing back at them. 306 range, 59 missile strength isn't that crazy though. We've got 120-ish missile strength on Slayer Pirates and their pistols, for example, which is kind of interesting that their missile strength is so much higher than a Thunderer unit, but with Ballistics calibration we can get it up to 90, which is still pretty darn solid. And the enemy's range units are, of course, going to be fairly fragile and will melt away under fire reasonably quick, especially with the help of our organ guns. Still, for the enemy here, it's mostly a numbers game. Can their number of bows outdo the much smaller number of guns that we have? Remains to be seen. And they do finally get in range of our Grudge Rakers, who are going to start doing a fair bit of damage. And on top of that, as we've discussed many a time, the Grudge Rakers have stopping power, and they stagger the enemies, which will make it difficult for the enemy to form up or to even fire at us, which is another very nice benefit to these things. See these guys? They're not firing at anybody. Seeing all those units get knocked down, it's pretty darn effective. Anyway, speaking of effective, looks like almost all the enemy range units over in the center are destroyed, but the Dryads begin to rush us. Very nice volley from that Grudge Raker, though. Cannon and organ gun fire still moving towards the Dryads, but they are still going to charge forth. What we got in terms of physical and missile resistance? 8 and 15, so nothing crazy. They're obviously going to be significantly tankier than a unit of Glade Guard, but not perhaps tanky enough to deal with us. Let's see if any of them manage to close the distance here. Oh, it does look like a unit of Eternal Guard will actually close the distance, probably faster moving a little bit. And they're going to start fighting the Grudge Rakers in melee, which, fair enough. Those little spears of theirs are just aren't gonna cut it. as we can plainly see. As with that, the enemy army shatters, and the battle will be ours. If you're wondering where the enemy lord was, Daith, the avatar of Vol, I'm pretty sure we just killed him with our artillery long before he had any hope of reaching our lines. Yeah. Alright, well, we did pretty darn well here. I do think we should give Finn at least one more chance to do another fight, as that was pretty fun, and maybe we need a few more numbers from the enemy to actually threaten him. Let's see if we can find one. Well, dang, I expected it to be brutal, but perhaps not that brutal, but still, I really wanted to see Finnar Kandraskelson's army, the guns, face off against the bows and arrows of the elves, and despite lacking in the way of high damage-dealing infantry, mincing, splash, damaging type units, like engineers and flame cannons, we obliterated the enemy army with no trouble at all. Alrighty, we had 3 interceptions, I believe, World Roots interceptions, and after it looks like these guys are going to attack Finnar Kandraskelson again. I don't think there's any need to fight this. Yes, oh, it'll kill the cannons. Okay, there's a need to fight this, Finn. I guess it's your episode then. Let the guns roar. Let the guns of Zufbar roar once more. Alright, here we go, round 2 again for Finn. Love seeing those cannons and organ guns fire at the distance. Oh, also love seeing those Bretonnian castles up in the up on the mountains and hills and cliffs and whatever above. It does look pretty nice, you gotta admit. Oh, and I see some... Oh, are those ELGI ruins I spot? I don't like the look of those arches. Looks ELGI to me. Don't know if you want to be skulking in the ruins of the of Elven territories there. Anyway, we got a lot of enemies moving in towards us, and the way we're going to deal with it is thusly. The units of Thunderers are deployed with our cannons, firing at the enemy main line, who is on the approach, while we do have a reinforcing enemy force that is moving in on our side of the battle map. And so, we've deployed our Thunderers with Grudge Rakers to be firing at them immediately as they make their way onto the battlefield. They won't block them, as in, well, we're obviously not deployed very close to the deployment of a zone. We're just close enough to fire, which in this situation is fine. Alright, Glade Guard melting away, no problem under the Thunderers. We got 1 minute and 30 seconds until the reinforcements arrive, and we've got another 1 minute and 30 seconds until even more reinforcements arrive. But, well, good luck to them all. They'll actually have to attempt to close the distance, and of course, the Treemen and Treekin far, far away are still being sniped by our cannon fire, while the organ guns are mostly working on the enemy infantry because, well, they can reach them and they can penetrate their ranks as well. I mean, technically, I guess the cannons can do so as well, but anyway, the cannons have way, way more range. In fact, just out of curiosity, again, what was the range on our cannons here? The Zufbar steel sights, 925 range. Pretty intense. All right. Well, just keep on firing until those reinforcements are there. Victory is in our grasp, or at least it thinks it's in our grasp, but that may no longer be the case once 3 full armies of reinforcements make their way here. Still, I do love this army, all the guns and cannonry. Oh, there we go. All right, I was wondering if there was nobody in range of the organ gun. Frankly, I'm impressed that they're hitting anybody all the way over there, in the sense that there's a lot of trees blocking the shots, but I guess enough of them make their way through to make it count. Anyway, it looks like the reinforcements are here at last, and they're just going to have to deal with our Grudge Rakers. In the previous battle we saw with Finnar Kandraskelson, very few of the enemy managed to close with the Grudge Rakers, and at least in this way, we get to see them in action. rather than having the cannons and the thunderers, the regular thunderers, steal the show. This way everybody gets to play, including the Grim Delvers here. And I mean, considering the fact that we've got this is probably the last fight, most likely the last fight for this particular army. Everybody gets to shine. And it does look like at least a few of the enemies managed to close the distance, but it's a unit of Glade Guard, and while, as we've seen, they have pretty decent melee attack, 15 melee attack. They actually have more melee attack than our Thunderers do. Interesting. I wonder if that's a tech or whether... on what's buffing them so much. We saw that when we fought Orion, that these guys have crazy amount of melee attack. We could have done the same thing in theory if we had built enough Shrines of Grimnir, but I felt that the Shrines of Grugni and Smednir tended to be more important than Grimnir, so I built, I think, 10 Grimnir Shrines for the additional melee attack for everybody. But Grugni giving everybody melee defense and Smednir giving everybody additional missile resistance felt just generally A, superior, and B, more dwarfenly appropriate. Anyway, the two reinforcement armies over on this side of the map melt away, and the enemy lord follows suit, but we've still got plenty more elves where that came from. Unfortunately for the elves, we probably have a lot more ammo than they have souls. Now, does look like the arrow of Kurnus does manage, 3 projectiles from the arrow, manages to knock out 3 units, and that's despite the 50% spell resistance, so, and good for them, I guess. Enemies moving around behind the tree line, and all we can do is fire towards the trees, and hope enough bullets make their way through. But they'll show themselves sooner or later. There we go. It looks like they're going to attack Mr. Finn Arcandre Eskilson himself. He does hit reasonably hard with 3.5k missile strength, but as we've seen many a time, missile lords are kind of terrible in the sense of doing actual damage, but the suppression is quite valuable here. And a 3.5k weapon strength, it's still pretty okay damage. Anyway, I guess that was not the only damage that we're going to get out of the units of Grudge Rakers here, as the enemy has enough numbers to close the distance once more. Good for them. Considering, once again, in the previous battle, it was primarily the regular Thunderers. While all the Thunderers are now thundering away, the Grudge Rakers stopping the enemy Dryads and Glade Guard from closing the distance by knocking them all back with that lovely stopping power, while our regular Thunderers tear through all the enemy units they can reach, and our cannons, of course, continue to do their work. Alrighty, ordered ranks of elves shields up, but Shield Breaker and Frostbite is going to put a damper on that situation. 4761. I just keep checking everybody's stats and continuously impressed. But again, it is SFO, so everybody's basic units are going to be a lot tougher. There we go. Nice volley, or volleys, I should say. The bounce power is at about 70% in our favor, and the battle is still going. Turned out to be a fairly long one, but perhaps unsurprising considering the number of armies arrayed against us. And this guy has probably taken a lot of hits over the course of this battle, but he does have a healing potion should he need it. I'm surprised that the enemy lords are still around, but we tried targeting them repeatedly and are still targeting them with cannons, and the enemy's kind of just running around with them rather than standing still, which means they're dodging every shot and have been doing so for 7 straight minutes, which is pretty impressive because I'm pretty sure like a single volley or possibly 2 volleys from a cannon can kill them. They're fairly fragile, and the cannons do a lot of damage. Unless, hey, there we go, we brought at least one of them down, and with that, it looks like the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. Took about half of our ammunition worked through to get to this point. It looks like the enemy would have needed to bring another 4 or so armies or more units that were liable to absorb our hits in order to fight like this. Funnily enough, this is one of those rare situations where the Wood Elves would have been much better off using a all-melee army and overwhelming us and forcing us to fight in melee rather than using a range-focused army, because with our missile resistances and shields and armor and all that, we can simply outfight the the enemy in melee, because even if our damage is on par, our units are far, far tankier than theirs. Alrighty, there we go. The enemy tried it again, and despite the additional numbers bolstering theirs, failed. Once again, the gun units well gunned them down, and great job to Gromrel Company, Thunder of the Mountains, Urban Warfare Operators, Dowie Handshake, Zufbar, Steel Sights, Iron Head Takers, Big Bada Boom, Sweet Music, and Melody of Destruction, all the long-named units of Finnar Candraskelsson's army. It's one of our older armies, and it's, well, like many of our armies, had a lot of storied battles, and great job. Alright, it looks like that worked. By retreating that army, let me just see here. Okay, we're gonna have a bunch of enemy killed in battles, etc. The wild hunt ceases. Yeah, well, with Orion dead and Death dead, and I think Ariel died somewhere as well. They're in pretty bad shape. Talzin has been destroyed. Chalice of Malfleur. Instead of killed, enemy killed in battle healing cap plus 500%. Good lord. Even at 100% miscast chance, that would be insane on any unit that has a passive regeneration. Like, absolutely insane. Man, imagine getting this on somebody like Tamar Khan. Oh my. This would make him invincible. Or Kugath. Absolutely insanity. Troop Fairy Blackbeard Demon Slayer. Yes, okay. Alrighty, so by backing off, it looks like these guys decided not to attack us. Well. Thorgrim the Thronger, I would like you to go here. Reclaimer Grimson. What we really don't want is these guys to decide to attack this guy. I would like... Okay, let me see if I can figure out a way to do this appropriately. Alright. A Reclaimer Whitebeard. No, you know what? It'll take an extra turn. Well, what we'll do is we'll send Gromby to the Sunken Sewers, because there's no way they even dare to attack Gromby. Absolutely no way. Gromby, you go to resolve this. A little bit of damage, but I still think that they wouldn't dare. Enemy killed in battle. Then, a Reclaimer Whitebeard. March stands... yeah, you wouldn't suffer attrition here in Monolith of Charson. Huh, are you immune to chaos? You know what? I don't trust it. Let's go here. Alright, then we'll actually back both of you two off, unless we can move past you. Okay, now what? Reclaimer Grimson in camp stance right here. And Alaric Ranulfson in camp stance right here. Move together. And stay together so they don't attack you. I want Thorgrim the Thronger to attack the Veil of Nightmares himself. And clear-cut his way through all of those enemies. Thorak Ironbrow, you will hit the Blood Rift. Like so. Which will resolve. Destroy Tamar Khan. We don't have to deal with his giant pile of heroes moving around anymore. Maggot Host destroyed. Beautiful. Alrighty, and then we can venerate the ancestors and whatever. We'll be trading this land shortly, although, frankly, there's probably not that many episodes left in the campaign, so maybe it doesn't matter. Bastion Stair, I think we don't want to keep, so what we can do is this. You can go to Bastion Stair Elmador, which is only a tier 3. And you can just raise it. Hopefully it doesn't do so much damage to you that after raising it, it's going to hurt you, but I guess we're finding out. Yeah, you're fine. You do this, and you raise it. We're not going any further up into the Realm of Corn, and... oh, you can do this. Alright, and then you can head back to the Steppes of Corn. Grimly, you sit there for a turn until we can get back, and then we'll leave it to the Western provinces. What? Oh! Now they're building good armies? Wow. Longma Riders, Sentinels, bunch of Celestial Dragon Guard. Go and occupy this. They're the closest enemies you have, and oh wow, look at that. The Ogres have finally nearly overrun Aloysius' Indulgence. I'm duly impressed. Alrighty, you guys are good, you guys are good. We'll maybe raise the Island of Endless Gore as well. This will be all traded to Urson Revivalists, and hopefully we can get the one battle out of Thorgrim the Thronger in next episode. Otherwise, Taro Plagueis, I would like to see what's going on here. So Hegenbor Ironpick, I would like you to besiege Nagranath. And, ooh, whoa. Crone Hellbrand's out here at Okness, which is a field battle, eh? I'm gonna have to go after Hellebron. But, considering this is looking rather weak, we're going to besiege it. And I'm hoping that next turn, Anarsis will move in to help fight against Hegenbor Ironpick, rather than, you know, dying too easily, let's say. Lonely Ogben, I guess we should push somebody up here. Ungrim, I guess you're gonna head to the Drifting Castle anyway, so we might as well... Okay, now you can't reach this, but what you can do is move into the territory, or at least close to it. Go here. Huh, might you be able to actually reach it? Guess we'll find out. We do have a port after all. Alright. Like so, I guess you're probably not going to push to Nagranath, but frankly, Ungrim had a lot of battles through the course of the campaign, so that perhaps shouldn't be surprising. We'll do this, and we'll auto-resolve these guys as well. Alright. And we're 1 or 2 turns away from knocking out Be'lakor. We don't actually technically need to, but we will because of the principle of the thing. Alrighty, and then you guys. Alright, now what I would like you to do... Oh, you know what? You should probably sit in Citadel of Lead because... Yeah, Reclaimer Gunrickson, you can sit in Citadel of Lead. At least until we trade it away. Don't care about any of these territories. You guys... Alright, Reclaimer Helldower, I'd actually like you to move here besides Citadel of... No, you know what? I don't trust that. March stands down here. Maybe jump to Beast Peaks if everybody else is too busy. And then these guys, Thungni and stuff, you know, you just sit here. I don't think you're actually needed anymore. I assume the enemy can't reach you. I just wanted to make sure that you moved. Alrighty, the rest of you guys looking good to me. Maybe we should kill these Wood Elves too, just because. You know, not super friendly with everybody. I don't really care, it doesn't really matter. Let's see what we've got going on in Athelorn. So first of all, these guys. I would like you to sack Castle Quinnell. That's all that survived, the guns. Sack it. By sacking it, you should still preserve most of your movement range, allowing you to hunt down Tevarl, then hunt down Deluric, who is, I believe, the lord of this faction. And... tract replacements. Kill Deluric. And attract replacements. And take Castle Quinnell, which is the last territory that we need to restore Bretonnia completely. Occupy. And we'll trade it next turn after we move away. Alright, don't collect the income here. Lovely. Then, Burning Book Volume 1 and 2 of Khorne. It's a lot of debuffs, but it allows us to find the other books of Khorne, which is probably what the value of the thing is. Let's see what else we've got going here. Reclaimer Stepicus. So Tal Elsith is a territory that still has enemies in it. We do have these guys. What do we actually need to occupy for this? Court of Libaris destroyed, we're working on it. Waterfall Palace and Val's Anvil. Alright, so you are going to go to Val's Anvil, which you can just reach. And it has the same kind of garrison that you already defeated by attacking, I believe it was the Crag Halls of Findle, so I think you're actually free to just auto-resolve it. We might even move another army to help. We know that he'll win, because he's already won the exact same battle. With the addition of the same stack. In fact, I think it was more. It was 3 full stacks. This is only 2 and a little. Pathetic. Anyway. Reclaimer, Stoutpeak, and Woodguard... Cragbrow. We don't technically need to occupy Tal Elsith, so it's more clear or critical that we occupy the Waterfall Palace like so. Alright, and ooh, that looked like it was gonna crash, but it didn't. Arguelon destroyed. Province secured Arguelon. Don't collect income. Venerate the ancestors. Especially those of their ancestors that died here. in the attack on Athaloran. Woodguard Granite Hand. Okay, what do we need to... A moment again. Val's Anvil. Alright, so that's the only one that remains, meaning Woodguard, whichever one of you wants to go. Woodguard Damon, I think, is a little bit less tanky and stuff. We can auto-resolve this. There's no need to hit it. Occupy. And thereby... Faction destroyed Torgavon, province secured Torgavon, and there we go, the Forest ELGI Grudge completed. And then there were 2. Lumber Camp, note but a big old tree, base missile damage +2 for Quarreler and Ranger units, though I'm not sure that 4 turns remain in the campaign. It's still a very, very nice buff. Oh, and you can't collect the income here. And yeah, all that does is unlocks the Lumber Camp building. Yeah, still managed to rack up nearly 100,000 grudges here in 10 turns. Surprising, considering there's really not that much in the way of grudges left on the entire map anymore. But anyway, be it written that the Council of Kings bore witness to this grudge declared by the Longbeard Elders against the ELGI of the Fey Forest. The War of Vengeance ended once the ELGI grudge was proclaimed settled by High King Gotrek Starbreaker, yet since that time all Dawi who step foot in Athaloran report nothing but hostility and death by ELGI hands. Quelling the Longbeard's anger at these transgressions will take more than just the conquest of the forest. The guilty must also be buried within them. Lovely. Alright. Alright, well then, with Athaloran more or less, we should probably just take these places as well. Since there are no more actual enemies at them, we'll auto-resolve you. I do wish that the buildings, essentially, the whatchamacallums. Go for the venerate the ancestors. Not the buildings. Anmir destroyed. Province Anmir secured. The, Wood Elf territories. I wish there was some variety, some variation among them, because once again, I do feel like the AI is very bad at actually defending them, which is unfortunate. Not a big deal, but it is unfortunate. Mostly for them, because they have no chance here. But we've fought enough Wood Elves with armies where the enemy was given a chance, where this is just no chance, as we've already seen. Alrighty, and we will do this. Pyrrodanic destroyed, we'll move to Talos, then we may or may not declare war on and kill these guys that frankly we don't really care about them, and they're not part of this grudge, technically speaking. And though they could easily reclaim some of these territories, although on the other hand there's a bunch of wood guards around there. Anyway, you're gonna move Woodguard Holdfast right here. I doubt that they'd attack you, and even if they, whether they do or they don't, you'll be able to go to Tal Est. Anyway, folks, with that, I am going to call the episode here with 2 legendary grudges remaining. Court of Libaros to be destroyed, and Harganeth to be destroyed. I believe Harganeth will fall easily within the next few turns, and Libaros mostly just have to get here, and that's it, and just cover the ground. Still, I believe that is very achievable in one last episode, so, oh, wait, actually, before I forget, Joseph Zorn, go kill this. And then, he doesn't need to fight this, it's too weak. I'll do that. This guy's gonna run. But that's why we left Jamek Doomtamer out here. Hunt him down. Oh, like so. I'm gonna take damage because this army always takes damage, and then Joseph Zorn will take this particular territory with no damage to him. Occupy, or at least minimal damage to him, and there we go, the Chaos Dwarfs are destroyed, and unless I'm mistaken, let me just double check here, you can get into High King's Tribute. Unless I'm mistaken, diplomacy. Dark Elves, Greenskins, yes, that was the last Chaos Dwarf faction on the map. We have wiped the Chaos Dwarfs off the map, and we have wiped the Skaven off the map completely, and we're a couple of hits from wiping all the vampire counts with the exception of the Caravan Blue Roses out. The only Warriors of Chaos remaining, Shadow Legion and Warhosts of the Apocalypse, have 1 settlement. Both will be wiped out as well, and yeah, we've certainly made the world a better place here. Norse Nebraska is nearly completely destroyed. And all the Order factions are more or less thriving. What the heck do you not like? Strategic threat, -8. How dare you? Anyway, yeah, pretty good. Anyway, folks, like I said, I'm calling it here. Next episode will be the very last, at long last, of this epic campaign as we wipe the last of the legendary grudges from the book. And I'm still amused by the Southern Realmers moving to invade all these territories. But anyway, just got to make sure that we hold on to the last territories to complete those grudges. Frankly, we should be able to reach Negranath with you next turn as well, which will be good, as that's all we need to do to wipe these guys. Oh, hopefully we don't have to chase around any black arcs of theirs, because who knows, they could have them somewhere out there. I really hope that's not the case, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, stay tuned for one more, folks. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.